will be subject to over 1.3 million in fines per day. That means over 40 million in fines in January alone. If their case takes another 10 months to get before the Supreme Court, which would be the earliest it could get there under the normal order of business, the company would incur almost $500 million in fines. And then, of course, the Supreme Court would have to write an opinion in what would likely be a split decision with dissenters, which could easily take 4 or 6 months and include hundreds of millions of dollars in additional penalties. On January 5th, we're going to have a national shop at Hobby Lobby stores. So if you have one in your area, January 5th, please go out and show your support to this very brave and courageous family for holding to what their religious beliefs are. An extension of that Hobby Lobby store article, apparently no one informed Justice Sotomayor that the administration must rewrite the mandate to ensure religious institutions have a right to practice what they preach. December 21st, quote, our members and many others who rallied to protect religious freedom this week won a preliminary victory when a federal court told the Obama administration to rewrite the health care law's contraception mandate, according to Dan Weber, president of the Association of Mature American Citizens. The mandate would force religious institutions to pay for certain employee contraception and abortion costs, even though it would force them to ignore their established teachings. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals said in its ruling that the administration must rewrite the mandate to ensure religious institutions have a right to practice what they preach. It was a victory not just for church-based organizations, but for all who believe and want to protect all the rights guaranteed in our Constitution. Apparently, we made it too hot of an issue for the government, and so during oral arguments, the Health and Human Services Secretary, Kathleen Sebelius, relented and promised the mandate would be amended. But the court wanted more than promises. It ruled that the administration must rewrite the Obamacare provision by August 2013. In addition, the court demanded that the government provide progress reports every 60 days in the interim. Here's an action item for people in Iowa. This is in from the IowaGunOwners.org. Representative Dan Mulbauer, a Democrat, said, quote, we have to start making radical changes. It's time to start taking them. During an interview with the Central Iowa newspaper when talking about guns that you and I use for self-defense. The anti-gun lobby in Iowa is wasting no time using the tragedy in Connecticut as their springboard to ban every semi-auto firearm in the state, including 22 Rugers, Glocks, and even the Remington 1100 used for pheasant hunting. All would be confiscated under this proposed idea by authorizing police to seize the guns that you already own. Mulbauer said, quote, even if you have them, I think we need to start taking them. He consistently votes against bills like constitutional carry, stand your ground legislation, preemption reform, etc. We are awaiting an exact legislative proposal to give you more specific details, but get ready for a big fight. We're going to need all the help we can to get this, to stop this threat. You can take action. You can sign up at IowaGunOwners.org. You can contact Representative Mulbauer at dan.mulbauer@okay, that information is going to be up. Here's his phone number. Phone number is 515-281-3221. That's 515-281-3221. His email address and the rest of this story will be up on my website. One other thing for Iowans to watch out for is a change in policy with the Amber Alerts. They want to include house-to-house searches in that. This idea came about with the case of the 2 girls that were kidnapped and murdered. No, you never allow house-to-house searches. We stopped them for doing an exercise over here in a small town in Iowa a couple years ago. We need to stop them again. Next item. This is an updated action item. Remember earlier this month on the Mexican-American studies, okay, let me just read from here. It'll go much easier. This was just printed on December 24th in Arizona. Prescott College will be offering college credit to students who enroll in a community Mexican-American studies class. The class is taught by Curtis Acosta, who previously taught the district's Mexican-American Studies literature course. Arizona had already removed this study course from its public school curriculum because it violated laws. Then someone hired a professor in Maryland to do a study on the actual violence taught in this study, but that's not what he did a study on, so we opposed any officials in Arizona from taking his study seriously. So that was the earlier action. Okay, now we're flipping now to now. Okay, so now Prescott College is offering college credit to students who enroll in a community Mexican-American Studies class. What they did was they took it off campus, put it off and listed it as a free course, asking for donations to fund what? I don't know. And then the college has the nerve to allow those funds that are donated run through the college's banking account. They don't know when to stop. I guess they've become such advocates for illegal aliens who think they're above our laws that apparently they are too. Okay, let me go on. Acosta's class and other Mexican-American Studies courses were eliminated earlier this year after the Tucson Unified School District was found to be in violation of state law. Since then, Acosta, who now teaches a traditional literature course for Tucson, put together the free community class, which meets Sunday afternoons at the John A. Valenzuela Youth Center in South Tucson. The class will be worth 2 college credit hours for high school students who complete the class in the spring. A fund has been set up to support students enrolling for college credit. Donors can send contributions to Prescott College and write down in the little memo line, class. Now these are my comments. What the article does not tell you is why the Mexican-American Studies course was found to be in violation of the law, which says you can't teach hate and revolution, treason, or prejudice in their public schools. The course also teaches separatism, victimization, and kill the gringo. Tell them that you do not want college credits given for this ethnic studies class. You want to know what is the funding for and where a report of the funding can be found. Why is the funding being directed and cleared through the college account, and that you will be filing a complaint to the Arizona State Auditor General. His phone number is 602-553-0333. I have a number for Tucson area. You're going to be contacting, filing a report with the Attorney General, Tom Horn. And then contact information is for Pima Community College, Interim Chancellor, and Prescott College, Office of the President. That information is up on my website. We've got to move on here. What's happening in Fremont, Nebraska? Okay, remember that illegal immigration enforcement ordinance they put through? Okay, here's an update. The ordinance approved by Fremont voters on June 21st, 2010 was challenged by the American Civil Liberties Union and the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. Now let's just get forward because we know what's happening in the meantime. They've been approved to implement some things and some things it's still pending. But here's what's funny. Remember I told you that the only people who profit from, the only ones who make out on illegal immigration are the ones who profit from it? Here's my point. Later in March, the ACLU and MALDEF submitted claims to the city for legal work totaling more than a combined $1 million. The $709,000 bill from the ACLU included more than 900 hours of work by the attorneys at a billable rate of $390 per hour. See, there's money to be made. There's money to be made in stopping citizens and legal immigrants from being able to have the federal immigration laws enforced. In contrast, Attorney Chris Kovac, who is on the side of the citizens and legal immigrants and enforcement of our laws, who wrote the ordinance and is defending it on behalf of the city at no charge, was seeking about $6,000 for expenses. Kovac said, plaintiffs could not identify a single federal statute that clearly conflicts with the ordinance, and referred to a federal law, he said, points to Congress wanting to discourage the unlawful housing of illegal aliens in subsidized housing. I thought subsidized housing had a rule that you couldn't be a lawbreaker. Okay, this in USA Today. Mexican drug traffickers are using prime new territory for their expanding marijuana growing operations, America's national forests. This article printed December 28th. It's a growing problem, literally, said Wisconsin Attorney General. They're finding that it's easier and easier to grow within this country. Though drug trafficking was first detected on federal lands in the mid-1990s, the activity has since spread to 20 states and 67 national forests in our country. Traffickers are planting illicit crops on public land, destroying and defiling pristine wilderness, while creating risks for hundreds of hunters and other park goers. And where is Sierra Club? Where is the EPA? Not a word. A raid in August in Wisconsin's Chickamauga Nicollet National Forest resulted in the seizure of more than 8,000 marijuana plants and 7 arrests, at least 6 tied to drug-plagued Mexico. The U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of California, which has been dealing with the problem for years, says it makes sense to drug traffickers to move marijuana cultivation closer to your point of sale. In August, Operation Mountain Sweep targeted marijuana crops on public lands in 7 western states, including California. About 578,000 plants worth more than $1 billion were eradicated. Wagner says the vast majority of those arrested were illegal aliens from Mexico or people here of Mexican extraction. The activity comes as a survey last week shows a robust market for marijuana in the USA among young people. Federal agencies declined to comment on the influx of growers in U.S. parks. No shock there. Violent transnational criminal organizations are exploiting some of our most pristine public and tribal lands as grow sites for marijuana. Drug traffickers were first detected on Forest Service land in California in 1995. Nationwide, 6.2 million marijuana plants found in outdoor plots were destroyed in 2011, more than double those eradicated in 2004. The problem isn't confined to western states. A site in Michigan forest where 3,000 plants were seized in 2011 was linked to Mexican drug groups. 11 Mexican nationals were indicted in connection with a seizure in 2010 of more than 2,500 plants in rural Ohio.